All right, well, we have something fun today. All right, well, this is the FutureProofHomes Satellite1 kit. And so it comes in two parts. You've got basically the brains of the situation. This is a ESP32S3 board, and that plugs into this. This is called the hat, and this is a voice satellite kit that's made for Home Assistant. So it basically is a DIY version of what I've shown in the past, which is, you know, one of these Home Assistant voice PE, basically a little voice satellite, again, to control Home Assistant. But this one is more, like I said, of a DIY version so that you can build your own if you don't like the form factor or you want some more advanced features that the voice PE does not have. So looking at this thing, again, it comes in two pieces, and the way it's meant to go together is basically just take this back, and it's really clever the way he's worked this out. So, by the way, this thing actually shipped straight from the factory, apparently. It's still, this is for pick and place. This is a surface mount component, and these are actually used by pick and place machines so that they can pick this thing up because they use little vacuum suction tips. It's actually, there's a few of these. You can see there's little film on top of that component, film strip there, film strip there. Those are all for pick and place machines. So I got to take that off. And then we put this in from the back, and you just click it together. Now I'm not going to do that because it takes a little bit to get it back apart, and I want to show it to you first. So what you've got on here, again, this is the hat, and then this is the actual main control board. So this is what's going to get programmed with ESPHome and everything, and then it's going to communicate with this. And so this voice satellite has 4 microphones, and it has a XMOS chip, so it can do all the noise cancellation and audio processing on device. And so you can have on-device wake word detection with really good noise rejection and echo cancellation, stuff like that. I haven't actually tested this. I don't know how well it works, but I know I have been very impressed by the Home Assistant Voice PE, and it also, I believe, uses an XMOS chip. The big advantage here is this has more microphones, so maybe that will achieve a little bit better performance. It also has a much more beefy audio output. So on the back, you may be able to see kind of a larger chip right there. I'll rotate this over, I can read it. So that is a PCM5122. So this is a DAC, a digital to analog converter, and it's a pretty high quality little part here. This is a Texas Instrument part. And I don't know if you can make out the logo on the video, but there's a little BB on here because this is a Burr Brown branded product from TI, which is one of their nicer audio interface brands. So if you're not into audio, you've probably never heard of it, but you might occasionally see it on stuff that Burr Brown has kind of a premium cachet in audio. And then over here, there's a TAS 2780. That's a 25-watt single channel amplifier. And so on the back, you've got some outputs. So the DAC goes to a line out, so you can feed this into another audio system. And then it's got a speaker output, and that's where that amplifier goes, so that you can have a speaker on this or send the audio out to an external source. You got 4 buttons, you have a ring of LEDs around the edge, and it's got a couple of headers over here, and one is a LD2410, the other's a LD2450, and these are for human presence detectors like millimeter wave, so that you could just plug them right in. And so that's kind of it. Now on the back, again, other than the 2 audio outputs, looks like you got a couple of power signal LEDs, you've got USB ports, so one for the ESP32, and this is going to go back through and communicate through the header to the actual ESP32 board. And then you've got another USB, and this looks like this is for the XMOS chip, because this advanced audio processing kind of has to be programmed separately from everything else, because this isn't going to be controlled by ESPHome. That's, again, all on device. Now, on the back, there's another port here, and I'm not 100% sure. I'll dig through the documentation again to really kind of figure out what this port is. I think this is just an expansion port for later accessories, so I'm not 100%, but again, I'll check that out to identify exactly what that's for, because currently, I'm not sure that it really is utilized by anything I'm gonna have going. Also, I believe the audio output through this RCA port is stereo, but obviously you're just gonna have mono out for the on-device speaker port. But again, you do get 25 watts out of this thing, and that is kind of something to think about. Whenever you're powering this with the USB ports, you are gonna need a fairly chunky USB power source. If you really want to fully utilize this thing, you're going to probably need 30 watts into this port. So you're going to need, again, a pretty decent USB power supply if you want to get the full power output. So let's get this thing assembled. Now the first step, obviously, like I said, you just take this and then you just push it in through the back, and it will lock in place. You see the pins just slightly coming through, and there you go. And so I've got a 3D printed enclosure that I've already made, and so I'll get that out and I'll show you how I'm gonna put this thing together. All right, so here's the enclosure that I printed out, and I know right off the bat, let me clear this up. I'm not gonna be uploading an STL or design file for this because the speaker that I've got to work in this enclosure, right like that, is from a salvage electronics store, so this is not a speaker that you can just go buy off of Amazon. I don't know if you would ever be able to find one. I paid $3 for it, so because of that, this enclosure is very, very much not a general enclosure. It's just very specific for what I'm doing. But it goes in the top. I'm gonna put in some magnets on this so that will just sit there. It's not gonna be the cleanest kit. I printed this in ASA and it split, so I really need to redo this thing and maybe print it in PLA or something that doesn't shrink as much. The other thing is that my 3D printer is kind of on its last legs, and I will probably be replacing it later this year. It just doesn't print very well. This thing took like 16 hours to print this because, again, it's old, it's slow. And that's why, if you're wondering, why didn't you just reprint it? Well, it's because it would take me a whole nother day to get this thing another revision. So you can also see the surface quality, not that great. But I need to get some holes drilled because, again, it kind of covered up the holes that I had in there. But then I've got it so that at the bottom, I can just set my board in like that. And so this, I can then just have a couple of screws holding this thing in. And I've got little cuts for each microphone so that the air can easily pass through. And at the back, I've also got a little cut over here so that audio can come in. And so that's the enclosure. I will get this thing assembled and then we'll start getting this thing set up and see how she goes. All right, so it's time to do the first flash on this thing. So let's turn around here to the back. Gonna follow their recommendations. So on first boot, and let's see, where are we supposed to have this thing plugged into? So we've got our rings, and it says they will count down clockwise. And then we get a warm white color, and I believe that is the sparkle with the warm white color. So that should have flashed the XMOS chip, and now we've got to flash the firmware. And I'm not sure which one of these it is, but this is the only device I got plugged in. So let's try this. Okay, so that didn't work. Maybe that was the wrong one. Let's try the SPP dev. Failed to execute one last time. Well, it's not gonna be the Bluetooth peripheral device. So let me try a different browser because I am not in Chrome, and this is probably using web serial, and not everything has web serial. So, all right, so I'm over in Chrome. So let's try it in Chrome, see if that helps. All right, well, let's try this one more time. Connect. Okay, apparently connect via Bluetooth. Well, the one that I didn't check, it was connect via Bluetooth. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it seems stuck on the preparing installation, so I can try to do it with my phone. All right, so let's do the phone, and it wants me to go in the, okay, so I'm already in devices and services. So here we go. All right, so I'm gonna do add to give it password, hit continue, and then it says press the right action button. So it's not authorized. Okay, now it's connecting. Hey Jarvis. Hey Jarvis. Hey Jarvis. Turn off the kitchen lights. Okay, so it worked, but I had no audio. All right. All right, let me see what's going on with the audio. I will check back. All right, so we got everything hooked up. Now, one thing to point out on the FutureProofHomes device, you have to have a 9-volt, 3-amp USB power supply, or the speaker output won't work. And I think it's just there's a voltage requirement for the amplifier that's on the board. And if you're not supplying it with enough voltage, it just can't work. So I've moved it in here and I have it plugged into a USB PD charger device, so it should work. I don't have the lid attached, so it's a little rickety right now. You'll also notice whenever I push it, the way I've got this board mounted, I have all the buttons on the bottom and I need to raise this thing up just a touch because they are barely touching on the bottom there. I don't really need the buttons because I don't need any hardware on, off, mute, or volume or anything like that. So that's why I felt comfortable doing this. I never use the hardware buttons on my existing device. Okay, so since I've got these side by side, one thing is I have them on different wake words. And so what that means is I've got basically Nabu here with the Home Assistant voice PE. And then on the FutureProof Homes, I've got it set up on Jarvis. And so I can say like, okay, Nabu, turn on the kitchen lights.
Turned on the light.
And then I can say, hey, Jarvis. Hey, Jarvis, turn off the kitchen light.
Turned off the lights.
So basically side by side, they are functionally interchangeable. As far as a voice assistant hardware, they do the same thing, and in brief testing, they do it pretty equivalently. Now, the FutureProof Homes does have 4 mics instead of 2, so the Home Assistant only has 2 microphones. So I would expect it to be just a touch better for echo and noise and performance. Again, in my environment, it's not that noisy. It's just me around here. I have not yet really noticed that much of a difference in the way they work. So, hey Jarvis, turn on the kitchen light.
Turned on the lights.
Okay, Nabu, turn off the kitchen light.
Turned off the lights.
So as you can see, a pretty equal responsiveness, pretty equal wake word performance. So as far as the tuning of the XMOS chips and all that's configurable, they seem to be pretty much the same. Now I'm gonna walk down the hall and do a little more distant far field voice performance. Now you might be hearing me through a mic. I'll turn my mic off and I'll show you the on-camera audio. So if I say, hey Jarvis, turn on the kitchen lights.
Turned on the light.
Okay, Nabu, turn off the kitchen light.
Turned off the lights.
You'll see both of these have very, very good far field performance. And so when it comes down to the choice between them, I don't know, I really don't see much difference in the voice recognition and the wake word detection between these two. So it really, to me, comes down to form factor. If you like the Home Assistant Voice PE form factor, then it's kind of all ready to go. And, it's very small and, and it's got the speaker built in and everything just kind of works. The FutureProof Homes has 4 microphones, it's got a lot more LEDs and a lot more add-on capability. And if you're interested in, building your own thing or integrating this into other stuff, it has a lot more expandability and user configurability. Also, you can add a very, very large speaker because it's going to be able to drive, 20, 25 watts of output if you give it an appropriate power supply. And so it's going to be capable of driving much higher audio levels. Now, I'm using a little bitty crappy speaker in it, and so you probably notice there's not that much between them in the audio quality, but that mostly comes down to the fact that I'm using a piddly little speaker here. The other thing about the FutureProof Homes device is it does have a lot more on board. So it's got onboard temperature and humidity. It's also got like an onboard, I believe, ambient light sensor. And so it's got a lot more going on. The Voice Assist PE is really just voice assistant. The FutureProof Homes device is going to be a much more capable integrated thing. And so again, choosing between them to me, if you're just wanting a voice assist device and you don't need, advanced media player, you don't need high-level audio performance, you really just want something that detects voice, wakes up, sends those commands in, this is much more straightforward. But if you're interested in far more capabilities and expandability and configuration, then the FutureProof Homes might be what you're looking for. And this is where, the last thing we can talk about is price. So the Home Assistant Voice PE is about 60 bucks, right? Plus shipping, obviously, but 60 bucks and you get this. The FutureProof Homes is closer to $80 for the Satellite1 dev kit, and that comes with both the hat and the core ESP32 board. So it is going to be more expensive. So if you want that configurability and that expansion and that higher power level and everything else that it's got, it does cost about $20 more, and then you'll have to do your own enclosure. You're going to have to come up with a speaker and everything else. So it is going to cost you a lot more to do the FutureProof Homes thing. But, it really is, what do you want? If what you're looking for is just a pure, straightforward voice assistant satellite, then the Home Assistant Voice PE, really, to me, it's the way to go. It works really, really well. It's cheaper. It's all in one. You don't have to do any configuration. You don't have to build anything. It's just ready to go. But if what you're looking for is something much more configurable, expandable, higher power levels, you're looking at building a fully integrated, living room, battle station kind of thing, the FutureProof Homes is more tilted toward that. All right, so I think that's going to be it for now. I don't have a whole lot else to say. I just want to do a little demo and show you kind of another piece of hardware that's available out on the market. And again, give you a brief comparison between the Home Assistant Voice PE and the Satellite1 dev kit from FutureProof Homes. They do very, very similar things, just the FutureProof Homes kit is going to give you a lot more expandability and broader capabilities. Otherwise, they are, again, extremely similar, and so it really comes down to preferences and what you're trying to do with your Home Assistant setup about which way you might want to go. I think that's it. If you've got any other questions, comments, feedback, anything like that, feel free to leave them in a comment down below. As always, I appreciate your time. Thanks.